All right, there's quite a few people online. Curtis, you're gonna take the question from people online?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so basically we're gonna get started. Fintrac. Why do we do Fintrac? And how annoying it is for us to do so. I know it is really annoying, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. And it's a very simple form. We're gonna go section by section, how to fill it out. And at the end, I'm gonna give you a speed pass to the next training that we're gonna have. That's gonna be on FinTracker, which is an app that we can use, part of PropTX now, and that we are looking into getting it brokerage wide, that as soon as your client would do that, the email would go straight to concierge. So that's going to be a separate training because a lot of people are still doing it old school, which is with the forms. So what does Fintrac stand for? Well, it's the Financial Transaction and Report Analysis Center of Canada. So as it's just part of the Canadian rules that every real estate transaction has to have, we need to make sure that the people that we're dealing with are the people they're saying they are. Especially, you go to sell a house, you want to make sure that the person on the deed is the person that's signing the paperwork. Same with buying a house. And one major thing here, we don't accept cash. A lot of people would come to do deposits and pay the deposit in cash. We don't accept that, so it doesn't raise that red flag. There was, I think it was in Oakville a few years ago. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years ago. The way that somebody kind of went around and tried to launder money was that they would make an offer, back out on inspection every time, made a large deposit, and then the brokerage would actually send them a check from the trust account. So do it after 3 or 4 transactions within a month, raise the red flag, report it to Fintrac. That's all we have to do. Whenever you find something suspicious, it's not your job to investigate the whole thing. Your job is to say, hey, you know what, Ian? I think this transaction might be suspicious. Then I look at it and I just push it up. I just call Fintrac, say, hey, look, this is the suspicious, we have a suspicious real estate transaction, and they look into it. This is what our tax dollars are paid to do. So I'm going to go through the whole thing, the when and why, and the section by section. Ask any questions if you do, but yeah. So there we go. When and why. So the first section, very, very self-explanatory. You'll have the transaction property, the transaction property address, the name of the sales representative or the broker, and the date the information was collected. Who has, and do not raise your hand, but at least one picture of a driver's license in your phone or email? I know I've done it in the past, but it is you're not supposed to have those. You're supposed to look at it, take the notes, and then fill out the form and give it back. So anyways, this is pretty straightforward. So then you have the verification of the individual. So you would have the name, the address of where they currently reside, the date of birth, their principal business or occupation. This is one of our most errors on Fintrac. I'm a manager. Okay, well, I'm a teacher. Okay, that's too vague. You need to say, I'm a teacher for the Ottawa Catholic School Board at St. Mary's School. It needs to be a bit more precise. Doesn't need to have the date of start or anything like that, but whenever, if we get audited, they want to see a bit more than a teacher, a doctor. No, like a doctor at the general hospital. And if they're saying, well, you know what, we're moving for a new job. Okay, well, what's your current job? Because your future job, they might fire you after a week, or they might change their mind. So it's your current occupation. So type of document, you can use driver's license, passport. You cannot use health card. Health card is not a valid identification method. Here you'll have the identification number. Driver's license is 15 digits. In Ontario, if it's in Quebec, it's different because you might have somebody coming from a different province or even a different country. And then basically, and this is where you have your country of origin. So you'll have the jurisdiction. It's the Ontario driver's license. It's Ontario, Canada, and the expiry date. And that's another one that we have a lot, is that as long as at the time of information of collection, you do not, the document is not expired, that's fine. If it expires before the transaction closes, it's okay, because you can do a transaction and it will close in, let's say, 6 months, a year, and they will have to renew their driver's license or passport. It happens. Any questions on this? Yes.
Retired. You still want retired? We used to be able to put retired. Now you want more, right? Still?
Retired from
Okay.
real estate broker. Retire from homemaker.
Yeah.
What they were doing before they retired.
What they were doing before they retired. All right. Another way that we can verify someone is with a credit check. Not often used, but it is a way that we can actually verify someone through a credit check. If they bring you an Equifax report or anything like that, you just put the reference number, the name, and here you would put Equifax, blah, 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 blah. So, like I said, not very well used, but it can be used.
So if their license was expired and we wanted to put in an offer or whatever else,
yeah,
we can just say, give me a credit report, we're good to go.
Yeah. Also, you can do a dual ID method, which is as long as it has a combination of these. So the name of the deal, the date of birth, the name and address, the name plus a financial account. So bank statement, property tax, NOA. NOA stands for Notice of Assessment from the government. So as long as it's a governmental or a financial institution statement, you can use it here. So you would say the name of the source, Royal Bank of Canada, the account number, and that's it. So whenever you do that, you need two of them because it will verify different things. Any questions on this one?
When do you use that one?
If you you can't have a, let's say it's an elderly person, doesn't have a driver's license, doesn't have a passport, only has a health card. So, okay, well, what else do you have? I had one, I was dealing with a POA and the actual seller had dementia. So I'm like, okay, well, you need to provide me something. So they provide me a property tax bill for the property and a bank statement. So to me, that's good. I said, okay, well, you do have that. I have a POA as well, stuff like that, which I had a driver's license for the POA. We're going to get to whenever there's a POA or an estate sale or anything like that. So if you've never met the person and there is still a way that you can actually, you said, you asked a represented individual for information to assert their identity. So, hey, John, what's your date of birth? what's your address? So this is your last resort. Obviously not a preferred thing. We'll probably raise a red flag, and in section D will probably be a bit suspicious if they cannot provide you with any identification. But you as a salesperson, can you still proceed through a transaction? Yes, you can. Any questions on this one? Just that's kind of the. So to avoid this, there's going to be use Fintrac, which we'll talk about a little later. Okay, verification of third parties. Third parties. What is a third party of a transaction? Anyone?
Agent,
Pardon?
another agent.
No.
Buying it for your kid.
Buying for their kid.
Deposit lended out.
That's going to be in the receipt of funds.
Is guarantor considered third party?
Pardon?
Guarantor considered third party?
Guarantor, it depends if they're actually going to be on title or not. If they are on title, no, because technically you still need to contract that person fully. Lawyer, unless they have power of attorney for a client, which a lot of them do, it wouldn't be considered a third party. Let's say I'm with, my mother lives in France and she wants to buy a property here. I'm doing the showings. I'm going through the showings. So the real estate agent will have to Fintrac me because I'm a third party and I'm going to be signing for documents. So it could be an executor of a will. It could be somebody that has power of attorney as well. So third party record, you just do the same as the section A, A2, I think, for the third party. Okay, client's risk. So we used to have to do the transaction. Everybody needed to do a politically exposed report. Remember when a few years ago I came out and said, okay, everybody needs to do a 634 on every transaction. And then they came out with okay. Oh, I turned it off. They came out with this on our 630, our form 630. So we do not have to do a 634. The only time you will have to do a form 634 is that if that person is actually scores too high on this and is actually politically exposed. Could be a minister, somebody high up, a deputy minister or something like that, with a foreign country, even our country. So if you hit too many of those, this is a no. So you see all the points here that you get. So if you actually get too many points, if you have more than 10, no additional step required. If you have above 10, the client is high risk. Speak to compliance officer and apply high risk measures, such as asking for additional piece of ID or conducting an internet search of the client. So, from my experience, since this format started, we never had somebody that scored more than 4 or 5. So it's very important to know who you're working with.
So when did the 334? When did we no longer need the 634?
You don't need it now.
Out of when?
2 years ago since they started this.
Why were we not told that?
You were told that.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, whenever they came out with this, I sent an email to everybody. You don't need to do the 634 anymore. It's no longer mandatory. And also in your next one mandatory document, it's no longer a mandatory document. It's a orange document as opposed to a red document. Thanks, Ivy. Nice for you to show up. Right, so, everybody's got these, so I'm not gonna read all of them one at a time. But, like your main one is the first one, basically. Prior to this transaction, did you work with this client or have a personal relationship with them? So who can tell me, let's say I work with a client today, to buy their house. And how long do I have before I need to Fintrac them again? If I sell their house, let's say in 2 years, I need to Fintrac them again?
I feel like it's no.
No, I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure it's 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. So if you work with a client within 3 years, you do not need to Fintrac them again. However, next one and Graham will tell you is that, hey, I don't have a Fintrac for this transaction. They can say, I sold the house on 123 Main Street a year and a half ago for John Smith. Please use the Fintrac from them.
But what if they have something in those 3 years, like which is not
Like what?
like any connections or anything?
You
that
mean if they
comes
become, let's say, politically exposed? So, yeah, at that point, you would need to redo it. But let's face it, it's not the majority. Like 99% of the cases, it will be the same thing.
So as long as it's within the 3 year timeline, if anything happens later, it wouldn't come on the realtor that they didn't do it.
What do you mean?
So for example, if you get audited after your transaction and you didn't do Fintrac again, considering that it was done like a year back.
Yep.
On another property, the board would not come to you that you didn't Fintrac and this is what.
No.
Okay.
So just send a note to Graham then if he pops.
Yeah,
this in.
yeah. Like it's the same with the RICO information guide, right? Like I need to put it up I have a client that I list 2-3 properties for rent
Mhm.
No,
a year, so I don't need to redo the RICO. I just download it and reload it just to avoid the email from Graham.
Yeah.
No offense, Graham. I don't get emails from you. But it's just, he does his job, he does it very well, so we want to, and whenever you flag something, it's missing. So it's missing on that transaction.
We got 2 questions online.
Yep.
Scott?
What if you've
What's the
done one?
question?
You just raised his hand, I don't know.
Can
I don't think you can hear him.
you hear me?
No, you would, I don't think I have volume on this besides the mic.
Turn him on. Do this.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can
Hello?
hear you, but there's feedback, so it's not gonna work.
Okay.
Let me just increase the volume here.
The question is, what if you've done a
One
Fintrac?
second.
No, because I have my mic on, so the speaker on the phone is not working.
Gotcha. You wanna, you can either text it to me or write it out in here, and I'll read them out.
Yeah, just if you have any questions, just write it in the chat and Curtis will ask the questions for you. Okay, so anyways, any of those, like, does the client live within 10 kilometers from a border or 5 kilometers from an international airport? It's like, come on, it's like 5 kilometers from an international airport. It's pretty close, right? Like, we are 5 kilometers from the airport here. So,
Like as the crow flies or Google Maps?
it's a plus.
That's big.
I know.
Okay. And we're supposed to go online and check.
You'll know approximately, and then you just put a yes here, but a yes here is only 1 point, right? Like you'll still be within the points that are allowed under 10.
Okay.
Go
When
ahead.
you're reusing a Fintrac, you have to, so the change would be the address.
The address on the first page.
Yeah.
It's
It's like the transaction address.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to change it.
Okay.
Just make a note in next one over pre is that this was verified in February 2023. Therefore, I'm within my 3 years.
Do you recommend we upload the old one if we have it?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not redacted, basically.
We'll see if that grab us up while they're messing. Oh, I'm saving time.
Exactly. All right. Section D, the business relationship. So what are they buying? Residential property, commercial property, residential property for income purposes, land for commercial use, or other. So you could buy a business, you could buy anything else, you just other. So describe the business dealings if there's anything out of the ordinary. So whenever I was talking earlier about having, let's say, different, if the person you couldn't check their photo ID, if you couldn't do either A1, A2, or A3, and you had the just asking the person for their date of birth, address, and so on and so forth. Just write a note in here. Just say, look, this is what it is. The person is out of the country currently. I could not do it. And and you can actually do it at a later time. And at that point, if this is like if you have somebody that's like, hey, you know what? That person gave a $100,000 deposit and like, this is it. This is it. You can write whatever you want that is suspicious. Like, again, like I said at the beginning, it's not your duty to investigate the situation. Your duty is to let me know. So you let me know, I evaluate it, I push it up to Fintrac if it's suspicious. Yes.
Another question. So let's say an agent comes from, they did a transaction at a different brokerage. They did Fintrac, switched to us.
I need a Fintrac.
You need a new Fintrac.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we keep documents and stuff like that. It needs to be, it can, like, they can re-upload their old one.
Right. That's what I mean.
Because there's no brokerage name or anything on the
Yeah.
old one. It would
Okay.
just be their personal name.
You just need it, but they can use the one they did
Yeah.
from the previous one, falling in that 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Section E, hopefully nobody's ever have to use this portion. Yeah. If you have a suspicion that somebody would be a terrorist or anything like that, you call me as soon as possible. And then I call the track. This is just like, yeah, okay, well, then I call. It's as simple as that. And yeah, so hopefully be aware of who you're working with. Ask questions and, don't put yourself in a situation that is not good at the end of the day. So that's basically a 6:30 in as a whole. Any questions whatsoever on it? So FinTracker, we're going to go through it. I'm going to do another training in a couple of weeks just on that. And the benefit of FinTracker is that the only thing you do, they have it's an app that you'll have on your phone. You send an email to the person gets a link. They take a picture of their driver's license with the app through the email, and then they answer the questions one at a time. and it will not let them submit it unless it's completed. So it actually takes all that work or burden or off of you. So you just need to send that email. And that email, once it's completed, that form is sent as a PDF to Graham and you. So, yeah, then so you'll have the form. You can do 630, and you can do the 635 as well like that. So yeah, so like I said, I'll do a training on Fintrac, on Fintracker. It's not going to be a mandatory training like this one, but it's a training that I recommend everybody to come to because it will facilitate and make your jobs way easier. All right. Anybody want to take a break? You know, just loosen things up before we go into the 635. Go ahead.
Good question. If they're using the app, can you do it on your client's behalf for like an elderly?
Yes, you
client?
can.
Yes.
As long as you're there with them and you can verify. It basically speeds things up and will, instead of you filling out the form, you fill it out through the app. It's questions that like one question at a time, and it will send a full PDF version of the form 630 right now to you, because we haven't registered as a brokerage yet, but we are looking at it, and it will come within a month or two.
I just registered today and I recognized our brokerage.
Yeah, but it's not going to send the email to Graham yet.
Okay.
It will recognize any brokerage that's part of Property X. All right, so nobody wants to loosen up and
Keep going.
let's keep going. Let's power through it. Okay. Form 635. So must be completed when funds are received related to a transaction. Applies to deposit, trust fund transfers. This really won't happen to you, or any monetary exchange. Typically completed by the buyer's agents. Anybody can name me one time that the buyer's agent will not be completed the 635? Or that anybody besides the buyer's agent would actually complete the 635? Peter?
I'm on the listening.
Anytime that a form receipt of funds will not be completed by the buyer's agent.
Rentals?
Well, rentals, we don't have to do that, period.
Or the money to the lawyer,
Pardon?
money to the lawyer directly?
No, because still technically there's an exchange of money. It will be completed by the seller's agents if you double end it.
Oh.
So I was thinking it was almost too easy, but it isn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's it's pretty straightforward. So we're gonna go through the section, one section at a time, just easier to do it. So this again, same thing as the other form, property address, sales representative, or the broker's name. This one, you do need to fill it out for every transaction. It's not like the other one. So yeah, you would have to fill it out over and over, and every time there is a real estate transaction. All right. Receipt of funds. So this is pretty straightforward. Amount of funds, right? How much is it being deposited? You have 3 of those boxes on page 1 of your form 635. And with more and more people paying with email money transfers, you need to use more than one box, because if the deposit is $10,000 and they send 4 times 2,500, you need the 4 boxes, because it's 2,500 Canadian fund, date of receipt, because those 4 deposits will come probably at different days, right? So you could go, you transfer, blah, 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 electronically, purpose of the fund, purchase of for funds not in Canadian dollars. We don't worry about it for now, but it's basically you would put the exchange rate and what's your source of the exchange rate? Google.
So what's the policy on that with the office? I mean, 24 hours is when the receipt of the deposit has to be in. Sometimes people do it every second day or whatever.
Yeah, so we haven't really cracked down on that as long as the deposits started. Especially at first, because at first nobody was able to send more than $3,000. That was the limit, and that was set by the Canadian government, that just to avoid Fintrac issues. Now more and more banks will actually give you the opportunity to send one email money transfer for up to $10,000. I haven't seen an email money transfer for more than $10,000. But if you're in good standing with your bank, and you call it in and you say, look, I'm going to send an email money transfer for $10,000 to this company, it's going to go through. But yeah. Back to your question. As long as generally they start the process of deposits, let's say it's $5,000 deposit, they sent 2,500 the first day, 2,500 the second day. We normally don't flag a whole lot. If it takes like a week or something like that.
I know that should be identified as other in the agreement purchase and sale.
Yeah,
Very clearly, but a lot
Yeah.
of us don't discuss that early enough in the transaction with people.
yeah. So ideally, you would put as otherwise this, like in on your agreement of purchase and sale, there's 3 options of the deposit. There's herewith, which is basically here's my offer and here's my deposit. There's upon acceptance, which at that point it becomes automatically within 24 hours of acceptance of this offer. And there is the third option is as otherwise described in this agreement. So if let's say like your clients are giving a $25,000 deposit and you say, look, I'm going to give $5,000 a day for the next 5 days. Just write it like that as otherwise described. $5,000 on April 24th, $5,000 on April 25th, $5,000 on April 28th, 29th, because you have to realize it's only on business days. So, yes.
Question online here. Receipt of funds when you're buying through a builder.
Yes,
Same thing. Money's being exchanged. Yeah.
money is being exchanged.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions on this portion? So if it comes from, let's say it's a couple buying a house, they each put $5,000 down, use 2 boxes. And I'll show you where to in the other section how to do so.
And if the deposit comes from a third party, father,
Same thing, you put this purpose of the funds, it's the purchase. It's here that it's going to change. This number of the account, name of the account holder. So John Smith for Jonathan Smith. And the type of account. If they refuse to give you the information, 0 here, other, explain. Client refuses to give bank account information. This is one mistake that a lot of people do. They just leave this blank. And then Graham sends them an email. So, oh, the client refused. Okay, well, name of the account holder, John. Other, client refused to give banking information. Simple. But
So even on the builder side, sorry, if it's like just done through referrals or set up as. But I would assume if pay is coming to the brokerage, we need it.
it's not the, are they signing a buyer representation agreement with that person?
Go through both options.
So if it's only a referral, and honestly, just do it. It's 2 pages.
Yeah.
And just, it's a CYA policy. And with a builder, more than likely you'll have 1, well, 2, 3, or 4 deposits, right? Because it's $10,000 or $25,000 due after 30 days, after 60 days, and sometimes like 60 days before closing will be another deposit. Yes, sir.
When the builder do their own contract?
Will the builder do their own? No, like lawyers don't have to do Fintrac. And
Lawyers don't take cash, except their own fee.
well, we don't take cash either.
No, I mean, they don't take their
When
own.
you buy a house as a lawyer, and if you don't put a mortgage on it, you need to show up with a bank draft of the whole amount minus your deposit. They take a lot more, like their trust account is a lot higher than ours.
Okay,
Well, it depends on the firm, obviously, but
interesting.
yeah, if you buy a house and let's say, you have your money bags over here and you don't have a mortgage on it, or like, even if you buy a house and you put a $10,000 deposit, and you want to have 20%, you're still gonna bring a check for a certain amount of money, right? Depending, could be $50,000, $100,000, right? For that balance. So, any questions on this? So, a couple of weeks ago, I was here, a woman came and said, I'm putting a deposit for my daughter. So we weren't representing the buyer. So at the end of the day, not our problem. But that agent from the other brokerage would have had to put the mother's name in here. And basically in section 2, we verify the mother as well. So,
Would that agent know?
oh, that's not my problem. Like, you guys are my problem when I have enough to not worry about the 3,700 agents, but they should know because we sent the deposit receipt to them saying it came from, let's say, Jean Smith, and the daughter is Rebecca, on the client, and the client's Rebecca. So they received the deposit. It's their issue, just like it would be your issue if you were representing the buyer and the parents are giving the deposit. All right. So yeah. So this is basically redundant, but guess why this is here for? Because if you did a transaction with the person, at least you need to verify them again. So it's kind of, yeah, you don't need to form 630, but you still need to redo this whole thing. It didn't used to be on the form on the receipt of funds, but now it is.
What if the check is from a joint account from the husband and the wife? There's only one space for that. Do I need to identify them again since I already did the Fintrac? So for both information.
Yeah, add a page to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is basically the same as the other one. Driver's license, passport, document, identifier number. You can do by credit file method. You can do dual ID process, like we've talked to about in the Form 630. So verification of corporation identity. Somebody said, "Oh, I'm going to give my deposit for my company." So it's just like, "Oh, wow, that's a lot more work for me." But you know, you have to do it to make your commission. Sorry. So yeah, so you will just name of the corporation, 12345 Ontario Incorporated. The corporation identity address, what you know, principal business of the corporation. It's a holding company. It's a PREC. It's whatever it is. Type of verification record. Here you would put articles of incorporation, or you could have an NOA, a T2, which is the tax report for the company. Source of verification record. You would have the articles of incorporation and so on and so forth. So name of the directors, you need to make sure that that person is allowed to give money to under that company. So the name of the directors, say John Smith, said, "Oh yeah, I'll give money from my corporation," and the corporation's under his parents' name. So sorry, John, this is, I need to verify your parents on this, that they allow this to happen. So the registration number, that's the 9-digit number from CRA. Yeah. Or other identity entity. Well, it's just the. I don't recommend that one. It's just with the registration number. Section E, other contributors. So if other person are involved in providing the funds to each person, for each person or an entity involved in providing the funds, record name, address, date of birth, and their occupation. So this would be it's not really the parents, because the parents still needed to do it earlier, but it's like, okay, I'm borrowing the money from my friend John or anything. I borrowed $1,000 from my friend John, but you shouldn't have told me, because here you need to put John in. So, yeah. All right. This is basically notes. Basically, if there's two agents that are involved in a transaction, the buyer's agent is responsible for completing the receipt of funds. The listing agent's trust account. If funds are deposited into a listing agent's trust account, the buyer's agent is only required to record the fact that the funds were deposited into the listing agent's trust account, but is not required to include the number of the trust account. So what this means is that if you're double ending it, here, technically, because you are the agent of Century 21 and you need to do your receipt of funds, it's coming to your brokerage. Here you would put Century 21 Synergy Realty and Trust. You would put it's a trust account and the number of our trust account, which is on the deposit sheet here, the deposit instructions. It's like I double ended a property. I didn't do that.
No. I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
thought you only do the buyers.
everybody that's involved in money exchange here.
That's what I heard today.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Referencing the court docs, going back, did they refuse to provide? You're right, they refused, or?
You can write your refuse to provide the articles of incorporation.
big red flag, but
it's a big red flag. They need to provide you at least with a business number. And with the business number, you put it at the bottom there where it said the third option. But to me, it's a big red flag onto one, are you allowed to
signing authority.
yeah, to have signing authority for that corporation? And two, it's just like you let disperse funds from that corporation.
So if an agent gives a deposit for a client.
Yeah.
You write it in there? It's a loaded question, you know that.
I know where you're going, but yes, you technically should Fintrac yourself when you gift money to one of your kids to buy a house.
No, not to one of your kids, to the client, you're lending the client the deposit,
You need to Fintrac yourself with a 630, and you need to put your name in there.
but you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to use your funds for a deposit. Just like you know. Back in the old days when it was only $1,000, $500 agents used to do that.
Yeah.
Used to come up with the money for the people. Today it's 5,000, 10,000. It's not as likely to happen.
Yeah, no.
So likely or not allowed?
It's not allowed.
Okay.
You're not a party to that transaction, so you can't give your money to that transaction.
What if it's your kids?
Different story.
All right, any questions? All right, I'll talk a bit more about FinTracker, but I would strongly recommend everybody to download the app, play with it a little bit. You get 5 credit right now to basically just send you put the person's either cell phone number or email in there, and you just say, it just goes to them. They get a link, and they click on the link, and they verify themselves. So it's an app. If you look at in your dashboard on the ORAP dashboard, it's one of them that's all the way to the bottom type of thing.
So they do everything. How you send
They don't do everything. The client does everything. It will ask the client for a picture of their driver's license. Then it takes a picture with facial recognition to make sure that the person on the driver's license is the same person that's there. It takes all the information that's on the driver's license, and it will ask them, what do you do for a living? Blah, blah, blah. It will ask all of that.
So we won't have to do these forms if we use Fintrac.
Unless you get into is it B2 and B3 and B4? They don't have, let's say they don't have either a passport or a valid driver's license.
But did you just say 5 credits beforehand though?
Yeah.
Okay, what does that mean?
So basically sending, like right now, with your basic package that you have through PropTX, you get 5 free credits. So FinTracker charges 1 credit to send it by email. To send a FinTracker to, let's say Frank is buying a house through me, saying, oh, okay, well, I don't feel like doing the FinTrack report, so I just send that to Frank. Frank gets there, so okay, it will tell him step by step what to do.
So is it per person or per transaction that the
Per
credits?
person that you do.
Okay.
You get it's 1 credit per person that you do. I'm not sure how much there are the other credits if you want to buy more.
But then once you guys register as a brokerage,
You will have more than likely it will be up, but if you do let's say 100 transactions a year and you just do it through that, I'm not sure where that's why it's a further training.
okay.
I have some information gathering to do before I present it. The FinTracker. Sounds bad.
Fintrac themselves.
Well, and also it's not necessarily that. It's also it's safer for them, right? You don't have your driver's license on your cell phone. you don't have your driver's license either, or in your email either, you're not asking all kinds of personal questions to that person. It's just like, okay, well, you do you. And then you get the okay that, yeah, they've been Fintracked. And it's like, okay. It's good. It makes them feel safer that they don't, because yeah, if your client you've known for 10 years, different story. Somebody that comes through an open house, they don't know you. They don't, you know, and let's face it, the horror stories, the media and stuff like that, as soon as there's somebody in real estate involved, they tend to highlight it.
Oh, you mean they,
Yeah. All right. No more questions? Online?
there's one online, Barbara, please type it out. Oh, FinTracker is a game changer. I use it at my old spot. So yeah, just praising FinTrack.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I will send this whole video as a YouTube for everybody that was not able to attend or that was not able to attend online to the live version. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call me. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.